Long-distance fighting has always been a very important part of combat in Minecraft. But despite having 3 weapon options when it comes to hurting distant enemies, 2 of these choices are rarely ever used by players. So today we will focus on the crossbow to find out why it's so rarely used and try and find ways to improve it. When it comes to the mechanics, the big difference between the bow and the crossbow is that the crossbow has a fixed charging time and can be kept loaded in the player's inventory, while the bow can be shot before being fully charged, but won't hold a charged arrow. This might seem like an advantage for the crossbow, but since the charging time of a bow can be used to aim, I don't feel like it makes that big of a difference. Then there is Multishot and Piercing that give the crossbow another advantage, but this requires your target to be placed in such a specific position that I cannot see it being consistently useful. And finally we have Fireworks. It is with Fireworks that we can do the most damage, almost reaching the same damage output that a bow has with a regular arrow. The difference is that Fireworks affect an area instead of a single target. This sounds good in theory, but there are still some problems with that kind of ammunition. First, maximizing your damage output will cost 8 gunpowders for 3 rockets. This is manageable with a gunpowder farm, but it's still a lot more expensive than a simple arrow. The biggest problem, however, is that in order to load a firework into your crossbow, you need to carry it in your offhand. This means that you must either keep them in your offhand at all times and risk setting them off by accident, or keep them in your inventory and then move them to your offhand when you're in danger. So in other words, if you want a crossbow to deal a similar amount of damage as a bow, it will be both more expensive and more complicated to use. So, in my opinion, crossbows should get a lot more. The first and most obvious improvement would be to give it some new damage increasing enchantments. The bow already has power, an enchantment that increases its general damage output, so it would only make sense to give 1 or 2 to the crossbow as well. I thought instead of a simple damage boost to every shot, we could go the same path as the sword and boost damage specific to categories of mobs. My suggestions are Raider, an enchantment that would boost damage dealt to living humanoid type mobs like illagers, villagers, witches, and piglins, and Hunter, an enchantment that would boost damage dealt to flying mobs like phantoms, blazes, withers, bats, and many others. I think these enchantments should only affect the damage dealt by arrows, however. For fireworks, I have something else in mind. When it comes to their shape and color, fireworks are very customizable. So what if these visual effects also came with their own effects on the mobs that get caught in their area? That way, users could combine up to 7 firework stars with various effects in a single firework, focusing on the things that interest them the most to get the ammunition that they want. So here are the ideas of effects that I had for each shape. Large firework stars are crafted with a fire charge and, quite surprisingly, do not have a larger area of effect. I would simply suggest that as an improvement. Burst-shaped firework stars are crafted with a feather. This one could push the affected mobs away from the center of the explosion, making it the crossbow equivalent of punch or knockback. This would also have the added bonus of moving the target to the side or even towards you if aimed correctly. Adding more burst-shaped firework stars would increase the force of the push. Star-shaped fireworks are crafted with a gold nugget, so I thought I'd keep with the link that gold has with healing. The damage inflicted by a star-shaped firework star would instead heal living creatures. This would also mean that you would have to be very careful with the other shapes that you put in your fireworks, since they could still damage the mob that you're trying to heal. Creeper-faced fireworks are crafted with a mob head. This is quite expensive compared to the rest, so it would require a pretty strong effect. I thought it could paralyze all the mobs caught within its area of effect, giving you time for a quick escape or an easy reload. The duration of the paralysis would increase with the number of creeper-faced firework stars. Then we have 2 additional visual effects that can be added independently of the shape and of each other. Twinkle is added when a firework star is crafted with glowstone. For this one, I thought it could simply increase the damage of the firework star by 1 point. Trails are added when a firework star is crafted with a diamond. This one's also pretty expensive, so the effect would need to be quite strong. My idea would be to make its damage output persistent, similar to the effects of a lingering potion. they could deal a very high amount of damage overall, but mobs could still avoid some of that damage if they leave the area of the firework. But shapes are not the only thing we can customize for fireworks. We can also play with their color. We can give each firework star multiple colors and get them to fade between colors. I have some ideas for the effects of different colors, but nothing is set in stone yet for those, so I really want to read your suggestions on that. So these are my suggestions on how to improve the crossbow. If you have any objections, suggestions of your own, or other comments, please write them down in the comments below. I'm always happy to read them, and I always take them into consideration. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.